Over to Facebook. We should be streaming, or we will be when we get there. Oh, my sister posted a picture a couple days ago about her ceremony. Oh, my phone just told me Technorama podcast is now live. Is this actually 747? Shouldn't we be making jokes about airliners? Oh, wait, that's where the title of the show came from.
Yeah,
But that was on a 787? No.
I wouldn't worry about that. I wouldn't. No, it wasn't.
Which one's is it 787 Max that blew out?
Yeah, I was just.
Yeah, we're just being silly. It's kind of what the show is about.
747 sounded funny. I mean, when it made me think of that whole debacle.
Didn't Eddie Rabbit have a song called 740? No, somebody did. A country singer. 747.
Oh, really?
Fly me away.
Maybe.
Actually, every other thought in my head has something to do with music or a song. Should have been a musician.
It's infectious.
It is. Plus, there's so many songs out there. All right. Hey, we got a viewer. Welcome. We're just getting things squared away for the show. Now that we got the streaming up and running, I frantically search for monitors to figure out where my cursor went. Does anybody else have that problem?
Can't you shake it? You can shake it.
You can shake it and it makes it a little bigger, but if two of the monitors are off and it's off in La La Land, oh, that's not helping anything. No, I also have a cursor locator, so if I hit a certain key sequence, it'll go boom.
Right. Oh, let me grab my drink real quick. It's right behind me.
Okay. You do that. And I will bring up the question of the week so we're ready when we get to that point.
All right.
All right. Who's joined us in the comments? Mike. Mike has. He says, Yarp.
Hey, Mike.
Let me bring up our question of the week so we're ready when we get to that point. Ta-da! And I think we're ready to go. Did you see Kyle's comment to our question of the week?
No, I don't think I didn't read through them.
Okay. You're gonna laugh when you get there. Shows you how much show prep Craig does.
I know. I'd build the whole thing out, but yeah.
Looks like you also got a haircut this week.
Another week, yeah.
Okay. My primary barber was closed, so I went to the secondary barber. They said, we're moving on Monday. But, got here just in time.
Don't get used to us.
All righty. Yeah, I can always tell the difference, too, because they're like two slightly different cuts.
I've been going to the same person for like 25 years, 24 years.
I was thinking about that. Like, what would have... Originally, one of my friends was going to like cosmetology school, and she used to cut it all the time. And then when we moved to Wisconsin, I found another coworker who went to cosmetology school, and she cut it for a while.
Right.
I never even went to a proper barber until we got here, and it was like 2016.
Oh, yeah.
Like 50 years old before I got my first proper haircut.
Actually, Dad used to take us to, as these two guys that used to cut hair, and I remember going in their old place, and they were barbers, and then they ended up with they moved later on, probably a couple times, and then they were in a building with two barber chairs, and there were actually seats around. People would come in and just to talk, really, like old school barbershop. They're both gone now, so
it was a social thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for a while I was doing buzz cuts when I was doing martial arts, so I just we have the sheep shearers, and I would do that.
Well, that's handy, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, it's cheap.
Yeah,
but the measurements on those things were always like 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch or 3/8. So when I got to the barber and he says, "Do you want on the sides number 3 or number 5?" I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Let's start with a 5 and see if we like it.
Right. You can always cut more, but you can't uncut.
Yeah. About speaking of which, a few weeks ago, we came back from our vacation, and I had I used an electric razor for my beard,
Yes.
and I had the guard was on the wrong setting,
Yes.
and I didn't even look at it before I used it because I figured, oh, it's where it was at when I last used it. Meep.
Yeah, you had a couple shows ago, you were almost down to nothing.
Yeah, pretty
You look
much.
clean shaven again. You look like 10 years younger. He was young Craig.
I kind of like the beard. I don't care that it's white-ish, whitish.
I was smiling today when Donna and I were in church because I was walking right behind her, and I she's gone great pretty quickly in the last like 18 months,
Right.
and I was smiling because I remembered that old. I think every couple has said this, like, I want to grow old and gray with you. Like,
Yeah.
oh, we're there.
Yeah. All right. I guess we can call check box. We're out.
It's like, wow, that was one of my longer goals in life.
Yeah. Now we need to disband. We made that goal.
That just had me smiling the whole way down the aisle.
Yeah. Fortunately, I mean, there's a little bit, but I have blonde hair, so it's
Yeah, you and I are about as gray on the sides, just a little bit on the temples.
yeah. Because I asked Lori who cuts my hair, and she's like, I can see some on the sides, but like I said, because of my blonde hair,
Yeah.
it's hard to see.
And
So
I get a haircut about every 6 to 8 weeks, so they hack off about a half inch, and every time I look at the first few, and I look down on the floor going, wow, what old guy was here?
who brought their dog to work today?
All right, let's do a podcast.
Right.
Got a couple people out there waiting for us to get started.
Yeah.
Okay, I am going to hit the record button and start talking when the counter starts moving. Make sure our sounds work. Yep, that works. Okay, here we go. Pressing record. 3, 2, 1. Technorama episode 747. The Boeing engineer was caught winging it on the job. Hey, welcome to Technorama, the show that takes a lighthearted look at tech, science, sci-fi. What was the other part? Oh, it's on my shirt. And
Yeah.
all things geek.
There
That's
you
right.
go.
Okay, good thing we had these shirts made.
That's
Otherwise,
right.
I would have forgotten. We're working on a new t-shirt design for 2024. Stay
Yep.
tuned, Patreon members. You too may want to get in on this action. These
Yeah.
are getting quite valuable.
Yeah.
If you're a first time listener or viewer, welcome to the show. If you're returning, welcome back. My name is Chuck Tomasi, and right over there is Craig Stepp. How are you, Craig?
I'm doing good. Just hanging out in a different location. It may look a little different to you than normal,
Or it's a
but
virtual background. We're not
yeah,
sure.
it's a virtual
Can't
background.
trust anything AI these days,
Yeah,
but we can always trust Craig
that's
most
right. I'm not an AI.
some of the time. Oh,
Yeah.
we have a creepy story coming up. Speaking about robots and AI,
Oh yeah.
we'll get
It's
there
all-
in a sec. But first,
Hey, it's the
yeah.
first of many, I'm sure.
Yeah, this one's getting a little Battlestar Galactica for me.
Okay.
Let's jump into our question of the week first.
Letters, oh, we get letters. We get your letters every day.
Here it
All the
is.
time.
Mailman, mailman, mail today. Reach right in and pull one out. Those letters, I love those letters. Let's find out what you got to say.
boy.
Mailman, mail today.
I have a story about the mail for our Patreon show.
Okay.
A little bit of an adventure while I was out for my morning walk. So teaser for you in case this is an episode that our patron members get as well. So we already got one teed up. But for this show, we asked you last time if we discovered an alien civilization besides verbal language, how would you try and communicate with them? And we got some dandies. This is internet fodder right here.
Yeah.
Mark,
I was
go ahead.
thinking of an interpretive dance, but that's pretty subjective.
That could work
Yeah.
if they had the right number of limbs.
Yeah. Somebody's out there trying to do their thing, and the aliens are like, "The heck is going on here?"
Or you have, Lieutenant Eric's from Star Trek.
Yeah. With 3 arms.
He'd be dancing, but he'd also be going.
Yeah.
Or if you did a provocative dance.
Yeah.
All right,
Right.
we're stealing sound effects from the other show at
All
this.
right. Yeah. Yeah. We're crossing the
Mark
stream.
Guilfoyle says intergalactic Pictionary.
I can see that working. He also said the most amazing film festival, movie festival of all time. Yes, there's language, but there's so much more.
They can read the subtitles in
Yeah,
their own language.
in their own language. Yeah.
And then a concert ranging from Radiohead to John Williams, from gospel to rap, from post rock to Guthrie, both of them, from AC/DC to Dolly Parton and beyond. Again, yes, there's language, but music is so much more. That was my suggestion too, is music, because music is mathematical in its notes.
Yeah.
And you know, let's hope they have ears and can hear.
Well, actually, when you said music, of course, I think later on we see a comment about that Close Encounters.
Whatever
Yeah.
they're doing with their hands.
Right. And Mark
Oh, wait,
Kilfoyle finally said,
Fritz responded to that. He says, "I agree." Together
Oh.
with Biedermeier and Boris Blank from Yellow, and he includes a link to a YouTube video.
yeah. And Mark Kilfoyle finally says, and finally, soccer.
Football.
I could have chosen any number of great sports as an example, but soccer, and aside from some of the most esoteric rules like offside, which I still don't get, it basically, its basics are pretty easy to interpret. Well, yeah, I think so. Granted, whether technicals or telekinesis counts as
Tentacles, not technicals.
what I say? I
You
meant
said
to say
technicals.
I thought I said I was trying to say tentacles, and telekinesis counts as hands on the ball, as perhaps a part of the adaptive adjustments. So
That just made a whole bunch of images about Scott Sigler's GFL right there.
yeah, yeah, that's right.
Steve London says math. Yes, I agree. That would be a great way to communicate with them.
Yeah, put them all to sleep. Clinton Alvord, our buddy in podcasting arms, said I'd break out a slideshow of past summer vacations. This would eventually lead to aliens revealing how they display displeasure, boredom, anger, and nonverbal communicate. Wow, it's late. I got to go. Checking their watches.
Why don't you just stay for another dinner?
Yeah.
Kyle Nishioka says sign language like these guys. I'm going to leave it to the viewer to go look, but there's one alien who's holding up the middle finger, and the second alien whacks him on the back of the head and says, "Not that way."
Yeah.
Two fingers are used to make the peace sign. So he holds up both hands with the middle finger up.
Yeah. That's pretty funny. Hey, you can read the next Fritz one.
I'm not seeing another Fritz one.
It's right below the.
No, that's Steven.
No.
He says, I'd try to get Doom running on their computer and then run and then have a LAN party with them.
A LAN party. Look, they just happen to have Ethernet jacks or wireless.
We have a story about FreeDOS. Maybe we could just upload that to them.
All right, so Fritz has a long comment in there. Maybe you need to refresh your page.
I did refresh my page.
And it says, difficult. I recall an experiment in which a group of scientists each created a message intended for a hypothetical alien civilization. The others in the group then attempted to decipher these messages. None of the messages were successfully deciphered, but after the explanations were given, everyone agreed that each message was indeed very well crafted and should be easily understood. And he also continues, it says, having said that, we don't usually know the sensory equipment of aliens and how they perceive their surroundings and how they communicate. Vocal language, sign language, displaying patterns on their skin, somewhat like chameleons. Okay, that's a good one. He said, we have to start very basic and make our way up from there. Numbers seem to be a good starting point, as we were talking about math, and then some calculus, and then other mathematical formulas. Geometry is a logical next step, using mathematical formulae to describe circles, triangles, and so forth. Physics and chemistry, starting with the periodic table. That would they'd have to understand the letters and everything. But
Well, I mean,
Um,
you start with hydrogen.
yeah, after that, he goes, I don't know, and hopefully we could communicate with aliens using 100 100 G mobile phones. Yeah,
Energy.
100 instead of 5G.
Right.
Wow.
We're still in the early days.
Yeah. It goes on. I won't read the whole thing, but yeah, there's some good stuff in there. So go. I would invite you to go visit the link.
I'm gonna go write a book on how I communicated with aliens.
I know.
All right, I did share this and got a couple responses. Sean says light, math, anything else has too many dependencies. Interestingly enough, he included a picture from Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where the ship is coming down and all the people are standing around.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it's an animated GIF.
Yeah.
The only thing animated are a few feet.
I think they're tapping their toes to the music.
Right, that's kind of what it looks like.
Yeah. That's right.
And then Mike Will says pictures. So maybe the picture of the animated GIF of the aliens coming.
Well, remember on Voyager, they got the golden record on there that has sounds from Earth, including speeches, I think.
Did Tom Paris sign it? It's on Voyager?
It's not a plate.
Oh.
Not that Voyager either.
Oh. Ruin all my fun.
You know, do they actually have that posted online somewhere where you can hear it?
Yes. Yes,
Is
they
that-
do. You can
okay.
hear the soundtrack. Now, it's also got some images and whatnot that go along with that. I've heard it. You know, greetings from the people of Earth, and then they
Yeah.
say the greetings in a whole bunch of different languages.
Yeah, I think I looked for it one time and I couldn't. I found a bunch of other stuff, and I'm like, not exactly what I was looking for. So yeah, I wanted to listen to it, but
They should have
But-
sent a copy of the Rosetta Stone, because then they'd have some source material and go, "Oh yeah, hieroglyphics. We know that because we gave it to
Yeah.
them."
oh, I thought you meant like Rosetta Stone, like the
The software.
CD, the
Here's
software.
Here's a free 30-day subscription.
A local copy of Duolingo.
Ah!
30
Not compatible with our current operating system.
yeah, Rosetta Stone. French is fun, and you know,
Mike has also suggested we communicate with them with Jello shots.
oh wow, okay,
So we're gonna get drunk aliens. That'll lead to some good relations.
yeah, let's
Sure.
don't do that.
All right, that is the end of our feedback for this time. We will be back at the end of the show with another question for you, and we'll post that online too.
All right.
Let's do some history. What happened the day before we declared independence in this country? On this day in history for July 3rd, 2024, it's the 185th day of the year. We have passed the meridian. There are 181 days remaining in 2024. Start
right.
getting out your Christmas lists, people.
Yep.
I'll turn that down just a touch. It was on this date in 1608 that Quebec City is founded by Samuel de Champlain.
And it was also on July 3rd, 1767, Pitcairn Island
Pitcairn, yep, you got it.
was discovered by midshipman Robert Pitcairn on an expedition voyage commanded by Philip Cartier.
You know what the Pitcairn Islands are famous for, right?
Is that the one with the no? What?
Mutiny on the Bounty.
Huh? Oh yeah, right. Oh, of course.
That same date in 1767, Norway's oldest newspaper, still in print, the Adresseavisen, pardon my Norwegian, was founded, and is the first edition was ever published on that date.
The Bank for Savings in the city of New York, the first savings bank in the U.S., opened on this date in 1819.
Clever name. I can't tell you. They didn't go with something like Mint,
Right.
Boost. It's Bank for Savings.
Mint.
No doubt what the sign is about.
Yeah, that's right.
It was on this date in 1884 that the Dow Jones and Company published its first stock average. One.
And yeah, one. July 3rd, 1886, Carl Benz officially unveiled the Benz patent motor wagon, motor wagon, and was the first purpose-built automobile.
It was also on that date in 1886 that the New York Tribune became the first newspaper to use a linotype machine, eliminated typesetting by hand.
Wow.
Woo!
Yeah. Big spenders. Also on July 3rd, 1938, the world speed record for a steam locomotive was set in England by the Mallard, which reached speeds of 125.88 miles per hour. Wow. Nobody mentioned the DeLorean that was sitting in the front of it.
It's called the Mallard. Duck!
Yeah.
Happy birthday goes out of this day to Danish botanist and physicist Ferdinand Dietrichson, born on this date in 1814.
And Dankmar Adler, the German-born American architect and engineer, was born 180 years ago today.
Alfred Korzybski, Polish-American mathematician, linguist, and philosopher. He's a better linguist than I am, apparently. He was born on this date in 1879.
An American mathematician and academic, Jesse Douglas, was born 127 years ago today.
Edward Brant Jr., American physician and mathematician, was born on the same date in 1933.
And also born on that same date as 1935, American geologist, astronaut, and politician, Harrison Schmitt.
Oh, you pronounced Harrison properly. What a coinkydink.
I've said it 100 million times in my life.
Also turning 81 today is American actor Kurtwood Smith, the president of the Federation.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. I hear he's running again. I don't know.
He should.
Yeah. Also born on the
He's younger. Oh, wait. No, he's as old as our regular candidates. He's good.
Yeah.
Let him run.
Yeah. Also born on that same date in 1943, American astronaut Norman E. Thagard.
American actress, voice actress, comedian, and writer Yeardley Smith.
Yeah.
Born on this date in 1964.
Yeah, that's Lisa Simpson.
Lisa Simpson is older than me.
Yeah. And also born on that same date in 1971, Australian journalist, publisher, and activist, founded WikiLeaks, and recently freed Julian Assange.
He went to prison in his 30s. He's now in his 50s.
Yeah.
He went to prison about the same time I started at service now. I think I got better stock options.
Right.
Listener birthday and fewer death threats. Listener birthdays this week include July 4th, Mike McBride. The 6th as Peter. And 4 birthdays on July 8th, Trampus Whiteman, Mark Lee. The Mark Lee? Well, he must be. He gave a star date of minus 351.519.09.
We're getting there.
Ellen Ralph and Craig, your wife's birthday is coming up.
Yep.
Be sure to celebrate.
You don't need to remind me.
Okay, good. You have to remember the 5 key dates. Well, there's 4 key dates.
I don't have to remember it. It's on my calendar.
That's the way it was on this day in history for July 3rd, 2024. If you want to be on our birthday calendar and get a shout out at the appropriate time of year, go over to chuckchat.com/birthday. Banner.
I'm actually getting there. Hold on.
chuckchat.com/birthday.
Yeah.
Grant Pachoco. Ding.
That's right. Ding, ding.
That brings our calendar tally up to whatever.
$1.
And we'll give you a shout out at the appropriate time of year. If it's your birthday this week and you are not on the calendar, well, we wish you all the best. Have a happy birthday, and we hope to give you a shout out next year. Are we done yet? Wait for it. This will tell us. We just march around with our batons. There it is. I did not do that on purpose.
Go away, guys.
I bumped the shotgun mic.
Oh no!
Good thing it's not on.
Yeah.
There's another mic just over my head that I forget about. I have too many microphones. Somebody said, why do you have so many microphones or so many headphones? I said, because it's why do chefs have so many knives? Each one has a different purpose. One's good for cutting vegetables. The other one's cutting bread. Yes, you could theoretically use one knife, but
and one's for stabbing.
Well, if that's what's in your knife drawer, sure.
Yeah.
Wait, hang on. I have to get the right microphone to knock you over the head with.
Yeah. Hold tight.
Let's see.
This one.
The road or the Heil? I'm not sure.
This one? No.
Too small. This one? No. This one has too much of a windscreen on it. You know what? I'm going to use the pop filter. No pop filter because I'm going to pop you. That was just bad podcast humor happening right there. Where are we? We are on
Like-
the
Stabby things.
Good news, nobody.
That's where we were on the stabby things. All right, hacks and strange stories. No, news.
News.
Hydrogen.
That's right.
Feel
It's
like
all over the place.
I'm not stuttering. So hydrogen is normally very volatile to transport.
Yep.
As evidence of things like the Hindenburg. It's very combustible when mixed with oxygen and
Oh, the
a
humanities.
spark. Yes, think of those huge manatees.
Yeah.
Well, what they've done is they found a way to revolutionize the transport of hydrogen. Why do we need hydrogen? Well, if we're making fuel cells as a way of doing clean energy, that's important. But getting it around is a little tricky. What they've done is created the first liquid organic hydrogen carrier, also called the LOHC. Very interesting. Which makes it possible to transport hydrogen in a liquid form over long distances due to a process of hydrogenation of toluene in, let me see if I can get through this long word,
All right.
methyl cyclohexane, or MCH. Is that anything like the MCU?
Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
Okay, they're doing this. Iron Man figured it out.
Yes.
Thank you, Tony Stark once again. So once it gets to its destination, then the system undergoes dehydrogenation process, which it reabsorbs the heat that and the heat is released. No, it reabsorbs the heat released. Okay, whatever. During the first stage, known as the endothermic reaction. So they've got a way to transport this stuff without being, and as I read on, it sounded like the toluene is recyclable, so they can just be using that. It's more or less a stabilizing or a carrier agent.
Right.
Previously, they did this with ammonia, but it was very, very expensive. I don't know what makes toluene so much cheaper than ammonia.
I
Because
don't know either.
dang, you can get ammonia from a lot of places, but maybe manufacturing it high. I don't know if they're gonna move it around in trains or pipelines or
Well,
tankers.
I'll be honest with you. When I first saw the title of the article, I thought, "Oh, cool! They teleported some
Well, yeah,
hydrogen."
and it looks like they've got a picture of the Large Hadron Collider.
Right. So I thought, "Ooh, cool!"
Because we did a story earlier on using the energy to transport like one atom.
Yeah.
So now it said now they can transport 20 tons anywhere. So it sounded like transport technology, but it's not.
Yeah. I thought, "Wow, this is going to be a really cool story." Oh,
Craig got lured in by the clickbait, but I mean, it's still a cool story.
it was a Star Trek fan clickbait article.
It's still a cool story
No, it was a cool story.
because we need more clean energy.
It was just different from what I thought, but
I didn't see a timeline in there of when they would expect to start doing this or what they're going to plan to do with all of it.
yeah.
So, now, if you've been watching the news lately, you know that China sent their probe Chang'e 6 over to another clickbait one. They called it dark side of the moon. It's not dark, people. It's
What?
just the far side of the moon.
Yeah.
It gets just as much light as the close side of the moon. So I refuse to call it dark side of the moon unless I'm referring to.
Pink Floyd.
That's right. Okay. Well, they sent an asteroid over there. Why? Because they want to know more about it. Now, the reason it's the far side of the moon is because the moon is tidally locked. That means we see the same face all the time.
Yep.
It doesn't turn. Actually, it does turn. Its rotation is exactly the same as its revolution. So its day is 1 month long. That's or 29 and a quarter days if you want to start getting pedantic. But I
Hey, don't insult me.
didn't insult you. I'm insulting me. That's my
Okay.
inner voice because I am pedantic.
Pedantic. Right.
The crust is not quite the same because the core is off-centered, which is how it's tidally locked to us. It's pulled closer.
Mhm.
Think of spinning something around on a string. We're always seeing the same side of that thing.
Yep.
When we had asteroid impacts, and we still do occasionally, but when we had the heavy bombardment era, the asteroids would hit, and then the lava would come up, spread out over the surface. They think most of that sank down. What happened on the far side when the lava was deeper down? So that's what they're trying to figure out. What I also learned from here is Chang'e 6 is the name for the Chinese moon goddess. Now,
Oh,
I don't know why they would name her Chang'e 6.
I think they added the 6.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
there were 5 up. There were 5 sisters before her.
Or Chang'e 5 is the Chinese sun goddess? Chang'e
Maybe.
4? No, okay. I'm just making bad jokes again.
Yes, you are.
Okay, well, let's move on. Now we do the hacks and strange stories. Okay,
Okay,
that robotic sign is just ominous.
it's a little creepy, isn't it?
Yeah, the whole thing. I have to put this on the screen so the viewers will get full appreciation. If you're not watching the video, then I encourage you to click the show notes and for episode 747, go into the show notes and look for the one about the robotic with artificial skin. It's kind of creepy. Let me share this entire screen because they put this artificial skin over something that's moving. And yeah, no, that's not creepy. That's
You know what that reminds me of?
Hmm.
A blobfish.
Yes, it looks like a blobfish
Yeah.
smiling at you. They
Yeah.
had to put googly eyes in there too.
I know. I think they put the eyes in there. I think it's really to hold it in place, but then they have it flex like you're seeing here. It's like, whoa.
So
Hmm.
what they're hoping to do, and I forget if this is the Japanese people that are doing this, but yeah, this is really starting to get close to the uncanny valley. They want to put artificial living tissue onto robots because that way, if they get damaged, they can self-repair, right? Our skin heals. You might have a
Yeah.
scar, but minor lacerations heal up quickly. That's what they want to do with the robots instead of giving them a new paint job. I'm starting to feel a little bit of Battlestar Galactica here, where you can't tell the robots from the
Hey,
people.
and it's funny you mention that because I just watched that miniseries again.
I just saw Katie Sackhoff on Mandalorian.
and yeah, that skin is mighty slippery. Yeah, so see, we're gonna lose control of our robots. They're gonna slip out right between our fingers.
They can take care of that with a little makeup.
Yeah. That's
Nothing scary there.
it's so weird that they made it smile.
That's nightmare fuel right there.
Yeah. Would be funny if they made it scowl, like yeah.
Changes. Well, the real robots will be changing their facial expressions with actuators.
Mhm.
All right, enough of the hacks and strange stories. Quick shout out to the chat room. We've got a number of people joining us here tonight. Thank you very much to Mike and Kyra and Clinton and whoever. Slap some lipstick on it. That's right. Now the robots are going to keep Sephora in business.
Put some lipstick on it. Oh boy.
It's getting
That's funny.
creepy by the day. So we do this show Sunday nights at 8:30 Eastern, in case you were wondering. So you can set an appointment on your calendar, or you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, whatever. You get those notifications. We're also doing this on Facebook. So we got two channels where we can simulcast this. We encourage you. We invite you. We beg you to join
Beg.
us
Whatever it takes.
Sunday nights. Whatever.
We'll come to your house and set up your computer so you can watch it.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not part of the nerd herd.
Nerd herd.
All right, back to the remember when. We got things to look back on. We already did the history segment. It might make sense to keep remember when closer to the history segment.
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe. We've rearranged things in the show before. It's only been 19 years.
Yep.
Well, almost that long. No, more than that long. 30
More.
years ago,
Yeah.
FreeDOS was released in 1994. Man, my first daughter was 1 whole year old.
I didn't realize it had been out that long. But actually, I haven't really used it a whole lot. But I did have a guy I was working on his computer. He had I guess it was Windows Vista or something at the time.
Yeah.
And Microsoft was really trying hard at that moment to suppress DOS. And this guy had he had some software that runs on DOS only, and I couldn't do the emulation or how you can tell Windows to run as like a different environment. Couldn't do that, but I did install FreeDOS, and it worked. So that actually saved him having to pay for a whole Windows version of the app.
Sure.
So it's pretty cool.
Well, these days it's mostly used for running legacy games.
Yeah.
But also, if you've got an older machine that only needs DOS, you could run it at a VM, or you could run it on. Its main purpose is to support modern hardware and older applications. I'm not sure. I remember in the early days of DOS, if you got a faster machine, like your game would run faster.
Yes.
And you might not even be able to play it because it's running too fast.
Mm-hmm.
There was some of them would just go, I'm just gonna like
the guy would go run across it. Yeah, actually there was a lot of PCs, ones that I built had a button on it so you could scale back to the clock so you could play those games right.
Punch the turbo button.
Yeah,
remember
exactly.
turbo buttons?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Well, we had a software solution for that too, Craig. It was count how many like cycles in a loop. You write a loop between clock ticks. So you'd get this clock signal from the CPU and you say, how many can I count? Well, if it was 5,000, which is a long time between clock ticks, might have been a really slow clock.
That's what I'm saying. You're in the PC AT realm there.
Fast loop.
Yeah.
Well, the PC had a clock tick timer. What was it? 19.2 milliseconds or something.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd run your software and then you could get a gauge. So if you ran it on a faster machine, you'd get a different number and say, well, now this is how long I should wait for this thing to happen. How long to wait for 1 second in software rather than watching some timer
right.
that could be variable. It was a way of normalizing that. Anyway, yeah, FreeDOS. I have not had any personal interaction with it, but
that's a pretty cool project. I mean, like I said, I've only used it a couple times for things like that. I was trying to run that software in a DOS environment, and it I remember tweaking it out a little bit, and it worked like a champ. So yeah, it's great.
Might have to get me an old laptop or something and load it up.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go and thank our patrons, because they're the ones who get that free extra show that we record right after this. Comes out on Mondays. Some of them get t-shirts. Many of them get postcards. And we would like to keep in touch with you as well. So if you're interested, you go over to patreon.com/Technorama Podcast. If you find this show entertaining, educational.
Now you're talking crazy talk.
Yeah. Well, people like this went and did that. Alexis Duran, Amber Elstad, Amy Bowen, Avner Braverman. Thank you very much. Ben Vaughn, Brian Brown, Chris Martinez, Chris MC, Dan D. Mancoyer, Dean Jensen, Denise Inglis, Gary Lindros, John Clifford, John Noble, Yorgos Rowan, Crazy Joe, Kyle Nishioka, Leon, Mark Kilfoyle, Brad Miller, Mike Wills, Saturday Morning Media, Stephen Weshy, Steve Cody, Steve Therian, Steve Webb, Steve London, and Tim Cook. Thank you very much to everybody who's done that. You keep this show alive. You finance the bandwidth, the hosting costs, the software, the StreamYard. It's all very, very much appreciated. And there's even a little left over in the kitty for the t-shirts and the postcards, etc. So
imagine that.
Back at you. Yeah. And we even have a little buffer in case there's hardware issues or we need new headphones, because these things deteriorate over time. We've been using some of them.
Look, I don't even have any on right now.
He's completely rotted off his head.
As we were talking, you just fell off.
You're missing it if you didn't see the video part.
Yeah.
Join us Sunday nights at 8:30.
Yeah.
All righty. That takes care of our much needed appreciation for the people we so much we love you. Now we get to the part where Craig and I talk about things we've watched, seen, heard, read. Craig has watched Battlestar Galactica 1980.
No. Oh. No. Actually, I think I did try to watch that in the last few years,
It
and that
didn't
was
hold
like,
up well when it was released.
no, it did not. But now, so I watched the miniseries, which oddly enough, I think it was like 3 nights when we originally had it, but it was all put together into one format on Amazon Prime. It's like one episode, but it was like an hour and a half
Yeah.
or something like that. But that show really still holds up and it's really good. And what's funny is I don't think I've ever actually gone back and watched it since you know how everything turned out. And watching it now, I'm like, you're seeing a few things and you're like, oh yeah. It's kind of seen a different light a little bit because you kind of know what's going to happen. But it was still great. I thought it was fantastic.
That was Ronald D. Moore.
Yes, it was.
It's going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
All right. My first one is something we just tapped into on Netflix. Donna and I are watching this together. We're through episode 2 of The Haunting of Bly Manor. It's about this American girl who was a school teacher, and she went over to be not really a nanny, more of a governess, if you will, of this British boy and girl whose parents died in an accident a few years earlier. So you can guess by the title, there's hauntings in this manor. So we're just getting into it. Interesting story. The actress reminded me an awful lot of somebody that I've seen on other shows, but I realized after looking on IMDb that the person I was thinking of looked like that 30 years ago. So probably not her.
Maybe not. All right. So I watched Kevin Hart's Mark Twain Prize award show where he got the Mark Twain Prize for American humor.
Mhm.
And that was very funny. There was a lot of tons of comedians came out. Everybody from Jerry Seinfeld, Dave Chappelle, you could name just about anybody and they were there. And it was hilarious to watch. Some of it was even funnier, like Nick Cannon. I think it was Nick Cannon was really messing with Kevin Hart and was on stage saying, all right, and now I want to introduce somebody that everybody loves, blah, blah, blah. And he was building up like he was going to introduce Eddie Murphy to come out. And Kevin Hart was like, Eddie Murphy showed up? No. No, he didn't. So you have to kind of watch it to get it, but it was pretty hilarious. And the whole show was great. So if you like that kind of thing, go check it out. It's on Netflix.
And I finally got around to watching Oppenheimer because it's on Amazon Prime.
Speaking of humor.
Yeah, great. Lots of funny moments in that one. No, there's not. I'm sure everybody in the world has probably already seen it. But if you haven't, I was pleasantly surprised. It was not as much of a documentary as I thought.
Yes.
It was very much, and I don't know how much of this is historically accurate, but it probes into his pre-war encounters. I won't say he joined, but encounters with people in the Nazi Party, not the Nazi Party, the Communist Party,
Yes.
with his brother, including his brother and his girlfriend. So there were a number of people that were very much associated with this, and as such, it came back to bite him later. But there is obviously, if you follow along the timeline, you can pretty much pick out, Hitler is invaded. Oh, Hitler is now defeated. Oh, Hitler, so you can kind of hop your way through the 40s and into the early 50s about it. But it's kind of a sad story.
Well, yeah, he opened a big Pandora's box that ultimately could be the doom of Earth. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, not even so much the atomic story, but his own personal story about the attack on his character.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I think I read, because I saw it in the theater, and I came home and I was like, wonder how accurate it was. And from what I understand, for the most part, it was.
Okay.
You know, I'm sure there were some liberties, but I think for the most part, it was accurate. The things that happened in the movie did happen.
Yeah, Matt Damon was really there.
Not him.
A lot of
But,
big
yeah.
names. I was pleasantly surprised to see the big names, even big names that had smaller parts, like Remy Malek was in there.
Yep.
He didn't have a big part, but you knew who he was instantly.
Yeah. And I really liked that when at the end when they actually unleashed the bomb and the news got out, and then you could see he was struggling with what he has done.
And he goes into Truman and he says, I can't take this. And Truman's like, get this crybaby out of here.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm concerned when the Russians will have the bomb. And they go, they'll never have the bomb. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. Never.
And I'm sure that actually is partially true.
Yeah. Well, no. What I was explaining was when he was starting to grapple with what he had done.
Yeah.
And they had the noise and stuff and the silence. All the people were celebrating.
Oh yeah.
It
And
added
seeing them getting blown away and whatnot.
Yeah, and the way they did all that, I thought it was a very powerful way to make a film.
That was a Christopher Nolan thing.
It was very good.
It had his name written all over it.
That was an excellent film.
All right. I did throw a bunch of YouTube videos in here that I've been watching recently into the Geek Library in case you're interested. I was turned on to one yesterday, a new channel from Sci-Man Dan, who goes around debunking the Flat Earthers' claims. Speaking of comedy.
Does he have to keep doing it? You think?
Yes, because they keep coming out with new crazy stuff. It's great.
Hey, the moon is flat.
There's one guy who has a map of the flat Earth. It's like, oh, so is there an edge? And Scott says, yeah, there's the ice wall. Like, what are we suddenly in Game of Thrones?
Yeah, ice wall. The ice realm is over that ridge on the backside of Earth.
What's going on? It's like, no, that's Antarctica, and the government doesn't want you to go there.
Well, if the Earth's flat, what's on the backside of it?
And where does the sun go? And how do you explain the fact that you see the sun at a different angle because you're at a different latitude than I do? And it comes down to arguments like, oh, that's just mysterious forces.
Yeah.
For crying out loud. But I did love one of the clips. He says, look, just because you don't understand something doesn't mean it's not real.
Right.
He says, quantum mechanics. I don't understand it, but it's real. He says, your channel. I don't understand it, but it's real. Like, channel. Oh man, he threw it right in their face.
That's funny.
Also have some things like 10 things you didn't know about the Romulans from Star Trek. 3 badly designed ships when engineering goes wrong. What happened to Chicago's hidden street that has 3 levels? Wacker Drive along the river has 3 levels, and there's one that the public just doesn't go to. The origin story of Wheel of Fortune, which I thought was really interesting.
Wheel of Fortune? Okay.
I remember before Pat Sajak, there was Chuck Woolery. Oh, but there was a different letter turner lady. They even got into like the pilot was more of a shopping network kind of show. And they went,
oh yeah, because between the rounds, the person that won, they could go, they would show the furniture and electronics or whatever they could pick out.
It was all over the stage at one point.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
The gameplay didn't move along quite right. So I think it was Merv Griffin said, we're going to work on this. But another lady had control over the show. So it was an interesting story. I found it fascinating. So that brings us to the end of what we've watched and some ideas for what you may find interesting. Go over to the show notes.
Now, I have not watched the video you have listed here about MFM and RLL.
Yes.
It was my understanding that RLL was really like MFM, but with a different compression.
So that you are right. The problem is they oversubscribed on the letters RLL. So RLL is sort of a real high level. It's a large box that includes all of the following terms. FM, which is frequency modulation.
Yep.
MFM is modified frequency modulation, and RLL, which is run length limited encoding.
Right.
There is an RLL inside of RLL. So that's why the title caught me. I was like, okay, explain this, please. And he does a great job of explaining it. But when you get down to, I think it was RLL, he said, I have this MFM drive. I'm going to low level format it. Because I got to give him credit. He didn't know it's been so long he forgot his DOS commands. So he formatted the drive and then couldn't boot off of it.
Oh, he forgot to put the system on it.
To put the system on it.
Yeah.
So he reformat it because once you copy the files onto it, because he's went, oh, I got all these DOS files, throws them on the root folder, which I never did, but you make a DOS folder. Somebody had one called bin or sys or whatever, but before he did that, he wanted to get the data off of there. So he had to get this crazy interface that could read the raw bits. And you can't make sense out of the raw bits because they're encoded.
Yeah.
With either FM, MFM, or RLL. So he's got an image of that disk if you should ever want to put it back on something.
Yeah.
And
I remember it's a long time ago, like in the 20 gig, 40 gig or meg, excuse me, era, the Seagate drives, and swapping out the controller for an RLL controller and eking out a little bit more space.
You'd have to low level format the drive, then you F disk, then you format, and he forgot you can do a format/S.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Well, you can format, then you can run the sys command, which does the same thing.
Okay, yes.
So, yeah, I'm like, oh, I forgot about the sys command. So thank you.
I'll be honest with you. If I had to deal with DOS only, like I would be like that. It was like, oh wait, what I'm supposed to now formatting. I've done that so many times in my life, and F disk and all that. That I kind of know, but
when you low level format, you got to know how many tracks and cylinders, and heaven forbid you should have a bad track list on tape to the side of your hard drive.
Right.
And you had to put in all those things like stay away from these spots.
Yeah, that was a
huge
problem. Yeah, back then.
I hated those.
Yeah.
He got lucky. He had one drive that just flat out didn't work. He said, well, I got another one just like it. And he ran this test to scan all of the tracks and sectors. He said, this one's pretty much perfect. We got really lucky because that never happens.
No, especially as old as it is, probably.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, we got 2 comments going back. So Mike Robinson.
Robot Revolution will be carried out by flesh-covered models resembling Elvis, Raquel Welch, and the Bee Gees.
Well, if Raquel Welch was attacking me, I'd be like, just okay.
Hey, baby.
And then
Cats are proof the world is not flat. They had everything pushed off.
They had to push everything off.
If it had, they'd been pushing it all off.
I will say this: a picture when we're looking at that article earlier, and they have the picture of the moon from the far side.
Yes,
it does make the moon look flat, but at least in that picture, it looks like just a disc sitting there.
Well, that was part of Clinton's last. Did you listen to the latest comedy forecast? I
haven't listened to it yet. No.
There's a NASA engineer in the 1960s, and then the assistant Bonnie comes in and says, "You have to cancel this. On page 14, there's a major problem." He goes, "What is it?" He says, "Well, we've assumed the whole time that the Earth is round, or the Earth is a sphere. But if you look at the picture on page 14, it's flat." Words to that effect. If you're not listening to Comedy Forecast, shameless plug. You go over to Comedy Forecast with the number 4.com.
That's right.
That takes us to the end of the show, but we've got a question of the week for you before you go. Yes. Our question this time is, if you could fund research to solve one major scientific problem, what would it be and why? Show your work, students.
Hey, skinless robots.
Boneless, skinless robots.
Boneless. They make great casseroles.
Try them with the buffalo sauce.
Oh boy.
Why does everything with me come down to like cooking or music at some point?
Yeah, I don't know.
Try the Kelpian.
Oh.
All right. That's end of show stuff, it says. Wrong clip. That one.
Yeah.
There we go. Be sure to call our listener line, 707-530-CHAT. That's 2428. 707-530-2428. Craig's working on getting the banner up in case you missed it. Yeah. We would love to hear from you. The voicemail line still works. Technorama@chuckchat.com is how you can email us. If you live outside a calling area or you don't want to make that +1 kind of call, that's up to you. Search Technorama Podcast anywhere on the internet, and you'll probably come up with us, unless there's an AI version of our podcast, which would be really scary. Not quite as scary as the skin jobs.
Yeah.
Till next time, tell a friend about Technorama. They'll look at you funny, but eventually
What's that?
around.
Yeah.
Wait, we look at us funny.
Yeah.
Till next time, give us a binary high five, Craig.
All right. 101.
And that takes care of the audio recording.
Yeah.
All right.
Yay.
No editing required. All right. We are going to sign off the live stream and go record our Patreon show so that we can get it delivered to our patrons on time this week. I'm not sure what happened last week. We had a whole bunch of delays. And then like Wednesday or Tuesday, I heard the Topicus Trek that we released the week before. It was almost a week late, Craig.
I know. I apologize to everybody.
Okay.
I will take full responsibility.
All right. Done and done. Ah, there's that picture of the blob just showed up on my screen again.
Court-martial me, Chuck.
We'll leave you with that.
It looks like a melting pancake. Watch this. I've smiled enough.
We do not need animated GIF for that. And I'm going to get rid of that browser tab right away. Phew.
All right.
Hopefully I won't have bad dreams tonight. Thank you, everybody. Take care. Stay safe. Talk to you next time.
See ya.